This video is probably the hardest of this sequence of draft prospects we're going to look at in 2025. And I'm going to tell you why up next here on No Butts About It. What's up, guys? It is Josh here from No Butts About It. And today we are going to look at Toledo Rocket Darius Alexander. Darius Alexander is a guy that I really wanted to highlight because he's from the same town as me in Indiana and someone that has actually been climbing up the draft boards fairly rapidly. And I've even seen him listed as a first round pick in some mock drafts. But is he worth that first round pick? And that's what we're going to discuss here today. Um, Before we get into that, though, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any more of these draft prospect videos that we're doing this off season. So let's get his measurables out of the way first, just right off the bat. Darius Alexander's 24 years old. He weighs 310 pounds and he's 6'4". So he's a pretty big guy. Got some good size to him. 310 pounds, 6'4". His hand size is 10.25 inches. His arm length is 34 inches, and he has a wingspan of 82.25 inches. And obviously, these are some unofficial numbers. We'll get the more official numbers next week in the combine. And Darius Alexander is a guy that I think the combine is going to tell us a lot about. And I'll get more into that here later. But I will probably, if you guys want, comment below if you do or don't. But I'll probably do a follow-up video once we see him at the combine and get more information on him because I think he's a player that's draft stock is really going to be heavily dependent on the combine. But back to the measurables. I wanted to compare him to the top defensive tackle in the NFL right now. And this is obviously debatable, but I think Chris Jones pretty easily has this. He lines up all over the defensive line. He's just such a disruptor. And so I took Darius Alexander's measurables and compared them to Chris Jones. Chris Jones measurables. He's also 310 pounds, 6'6", 10.75 inches. His arm length is 34.25 inches and his wingspan 85 inches. So he's got a bit longer wingspan. However, that arm length, that's the key with linemen, is about the same. He has about a quarter of an inch longer arms than what Darius Alexander does, but it's pretty much the same from there on out. They weighed about the same coming into the draft. Chris Jones was a little bit taller, had a little bit bigger hands, a little bit longer arms, and his wingspan was a little bit bigger because of that as well. But very similar measurables for Chris Jones and Darius Alexander. So very interesting to kind of look at. But we have to look at his film as well, obviously. Just because they're the same size doesn't mean they're going to be the same type of player. Let's talk about his Senior Bowl performance, though, because his Senior Bowl performance is really what kind of has made him stand out at a national level. And he'd been trending upwards before the Senior Bowl, but then his Senior Bowl performance really just kind of escalated him. I think he did really well during the Senior Bowl. He was named the top defensive lineman, voted on by offensive linemen that had been going against him that week in practices and the game and different drills. That tells us a lot about him, that a lot of the top tier prospects that are offensive linemen are saying, hey, this dude is going to be an issue at the next level. He's the best guy here right now. He frankly showcased his ability very well in a versatile manner. And we just talked about how Chris Jones was kind of able to line up anywhere on the line. They allowed Darius Alexander to do the same thing at the Senior Bowl, and it worked. That's part of the reason his stock is going up. They put him in wide 9 formations. He was able to line up as an edge rusher and create a lot of issues. And that's a huge deal for a player that's coming from a smaller school. And now we've seen elite defensive players come out of Toledo before. Just last season, Quinion Mitchell came out. So it's not like he's a complete outlier here, but that is something that some scouts will hold against him, that he's coming from a smaller school and that his game might not translate to the next level. Well, we look at the Senior Bowl, and we've got guys from all sorts of schools playing against him, and these guys are saying, "Hey, look, keep an eye on Darius Alexander. He's going to be a big deal. Don't let the fact that he's from Toledo bother you too much." But let's bring in some of his analytics from the season to kind of back up some statements here that we're going to make that we're going to look at. And this is where I said it was hard because his Senior Bowl performance was fantastic. It was phenomenal. But during the regular season, he still had a great regular season, but it wasn't the same guy, right? Does that make sense? You look at Darius Alexander during the Senior Bowl, and you're like, yeah, this is a clear first round guy. But then you go to his regular season film, and you say, maybe not. He's good though. He's promising, just not clear first rounder, especially in this draft that is very deep at the defensive tackle position. I'm not sure that 10 defensive tackles are going to get taken in the first round. Maybe I'm wrong, but I highly doubt that. I've seen also where Darius Alexander is ranked as low as the 10th defensive tackle. I don't know if I agree with that either, but that's kind of where we're at. So PFF has his pass rush win rate at 12.8%. So pretty good numbers. He's winning every 1 out of 10 pass rushes. He's getting pretty decent win rate. His pass rush grade is 77.8. True pass rush set grade 79.3. And his run stop rate is 7.9% with a run defense grade of 90.3. And we'll see when we watch the film here that matches up. That matches up very clearly. Darius Alexander is by far a much better run defender than he is a pass rusher. He can get to the passer. He can line up on the edge if you need him to, and he will get into the pocket at times. But where he really thrives is just bursting up the middle and making tackles on runners. That is his game. And I'm not going to take him out of his game and move him somewhere else if I don't need to. I mean, if I need a run defender and that's what I need up the middle, Darius Alexander may be your guy. That he could just be the guy that you're like, you know what? He's good enough as a pass rusher, but what I really need is a run defender, and that's what his run defense grade is elite, meaning he just frankly clogs lanes. He's a roadblock. He's a roadblock up the middle. And he's just not consistent enough in that pass rush, and it's really annoying. Let's get into the film now. And what we're going to see from him is a lot of missed tackles. And that's extremely frustrating because we just talked about how great of how much potential he has. And he does still have that potential, but there's a lot of missed tackles on his film, even like on his highlights. There's some missed tackles where he has to get up and then make the tackle a second time. And it's good that he's able to do that, but you'd like to see him make the tackle the first time. He does have a 12.9% missed tackle rate, so that's a little high. He's missing tackles about as consistently as he's getting his pass rush win rate. Those are about the same. So not fantastic, not what you want in a first round defensive lineman. He also his effort in the pass rush is a little hit or miss for me. There are times that he's like, just a bulldozer and he's throwing guards down to the side. Even on double teams, there are times where he's just tossing both guys to the side. And if you watch a lot of these Darius Alexander prospect videos, that's what they'll show. They'll show you that part of it. And if you only watched that, you would say, okay, yeah, he's clearly a first round guy. He's a monster. But then there are other plays where he kind of seems to like take a step back. He just hesitates and uh he doesn't dive as hard as you'd want him to at the pocket. He doesn't bulldoze. He doesn't have that same energy. It's like a completely different player. It's really weird to watch. When I was doing the film review, I was like, oh yeah, this dude's a monster. And then the very next play, it would be like, oh no, I'm taking this play off. Then the play after that, I'm a monster again. So it's like, what's going on? I don't know. He shows great awareness though during run plays specifically. I noticed this. So let's say he's got his back to the running back as they're running up that A gap, and he's engaged with a guard or maybe a guard and a tackle because he does take on double teams pretty well. He he will shed both of them. He'll completely disengage with those blockers, bounce back, and has a quick move, and he'll tackle that running back. And he did that quite a bit um, on his film, and that's something that you like to see because you don't want to see him like see the running back go up that middle A gap and just like run past him. No, he's aware of what's going on at all times. Um, Frank, at the end of the day, with the film review, what you're going to see is he's either dominating his matchup or he's getting dominated. Um, and that's annoying as a coach to look at that and be like, I don't really know what to do with you. I don't know if I can trust you to go out there and win on this set, or if you're going to be the reason that there's a big breakaway. Um, there's not a ton of middle ground, and that's where I'd like to see him improve. I'd like to see that consistency. I'd like to see him just absolutely wreck his opponents. And if it's the Senior Bowl version of Darius Alexander, if that's the version we're going to get in the NFL, then yeah, fine, take him in the first round. But if he's not going to be that all the time, I could understand why he would fall a round or two. Let's look at his strengths. So we kind of already alluded to it. He has great arm length for a defensive tackle. As far as his measurables, I don't have any problem with where Darius Alexander stands with his measurables. He has great measurables. Look at how he compared to Chris Jones. He looks fantastic. He does have a strong base. He maintains a level stance against blocks. He's not going to fall down a whole lot. He's not getting beat by little guys, which is good. He's not getting knocked off center, and he does have a nice swim move as a pass rusher. I've seen him kind of that move where you go through the pocket and gets to the quarterback, and it works well a lot of the time if he's aggressive with it. If he just kind of throws his hands up, it doesn't do anything. Obviously, um, holds his own at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't get moved super easily, and he's a strong anchor against blocks. As a pass rusher, he wins with that nice swim move, and it makes him disruptive in true passing situations. If he goes at it aggressively, like I keep repeating the same things, but that's really what he needs to work at, in my opinion, is just that consistency. The biggest knock on him is he's not explosive off the line at times. He has moments where he aggressively shoots into the pocket with that bulldoze, and he other times just kind of hesitates and lets the offensive line decide what's going to happen. They decide if he's going to go back or not, or what he's going to do. And you don't want the offensive line dictating what your defensive tackle is going to do, your three tech's going to do. You don't want that happening. So that's really this inconsistency is what is making him a tough evaluation for me. And I keep mentioning that because I think that there's going to be a lot of people who see him as a really good player. Fair enough, and then they're going to watch this video and they're going to say, "Well, why are you looking at him completely different? Why is this video different from all the others?" And it's just that inconsistency. Really, that's all it boils down to. So I just really want to hit that on the head. I mean, I really want to hype up Darius. He's from Fort Wayne. He's from the same city as me. If I'm being objective, though, in a vacuum, I can't justify him being a first round pick at this time. And like I said, the combine is going to be huge for him. He has first round potential. The consistency, it's going to come back to that. Do coaches think he is being consistent enough on film to pull that trigger that early? I mean, the teams that I've seen him mock to are like the Bills, the Texans, like playoff teams, win now teams that need defensive linemen, or people think they need defensive linemen. Apparently, the Texans have a ton of defensive linemen, but maybe they need one more. And another thing that's going to get held against him, we already talked about it. In fact, he's from a smaller school. It does add a layer of concern. He gets beaten by blockers a lot. He also dominates a lot. He being from a smaller school with this level of inconsistency is not helping his case. Just at the end of the day, I need to see more from him. I see him lining up as a three tech defensive tackle in the NFL, and that's really one of if not the most important position on the D line. So he can stop the run at the elite level. I have no question about his run game at all. His run defense is phenomenal, but his pass rush value is a problem. He can take on double teams and split gaps. He doesn't have that agility to get to the quarterback every time, though. He doesn't have that agility to necessarily chase after a quarterback. That speed, and quarterbacks can put moves on him, especially guys like the guys that think about the guys in the NFL now. You got like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. You've even got Josh Allen can put some moves on people at times. We're moving to a point where even your defensive linemen, your defensive tackles have to have some speed, some agility, or else they're going to look silly out there. I His stock's going to be influenced by the combine. Right now, if we're saying draft is like in 20 minutes, pick your guy. If this were the third round, if we're in the third round and he's still there, I would take him. He has the ceiling to be a first round guy, but he isn't there yet. Uh, Rumors are saying he's going to go in the first round. Rumors are saying he's going to go in the second. If he somehow falls to the third round, and we've seen crazy things happen. We've seen players fall who we thought were going to be first round easy. We've seen them fall to like third, fourth round. Um, last year we didn't think there was going to be a huge run on quarterbacks in the first round, and they were all gone by the middle of the first round. So crazy things happen in the draft. So if Darius Alexander is still there in the third, if he somehow gets forgotten about, yeah, grab him, because I think that he's going to have that potential. He just needs coached up and motivated. But what do you guys think? Would you take Darius Alexander in the first round, or do you see him more of a mid-round guy like I do? Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe for more NFL draft prospect videos. Until next time, go do something nice for someone.